afternoon, and good evening. My name is Sir Meerkat, and welcome back to the Moto Meerkat channel, and welcome back to another episode of the ChatterBox podcast. Now, in last week's episode, we spoke to the wonderful Tommy Bellingham, and as the founder of WTF1, he had so many fantastic experiences to share with us, and he seemed super focused on continuing his domination that the company has managed to hold in the F1 sort of social media space. Now, I think we can say that Tommy is already pretty deep into his motorsport media career, but today we'll be speaking to someone who's relatively on the other end of the spectrum, but don't let that fool you. He's still been super successful with all of the work that he's done up to this point, amassing over 9,000 subscribers on his channel and 620,000 total views as I record this, so I'm sure it will have gone up by the time you're watching this. So today, I'm super excited to talk to Will from Formula Podcast 1. How are you doing today, mate?
I tell you what, you've taken a step down from Tommy to me. Blimey, I tell you what, that's
Don't say
blimey,
that.
Okay. No, I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. It's kept with lockdown too, all right, but we're near the end of that now anyway. So
nice.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. You're having a little bit different experience to me because obviously you're in England in the full lockdown. I've been in Wales out of the full lockdown for about 3 weeks now, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. So
Lucky you.
It's been all right for us. But yeah, you were telling me before the podcast as well that you and your housemates decided to stop drinking just before the lockdown started. That is terrible planning there from you.
It's bad timing. I kind of wish I'd be sat here with a group of ciders and I'd be absolutely gone by the end of this one. But
I've got a cheeky little Kronenberg going on.
Lucky you. You can make me
keep
jealous
through.
over this hour. I can survive. I've got 2 more days as a recording, so I've got
Two more
I can
days.
survive. I can survive.
By the time this comes out, you're going to be absolutely pissed. So that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry. No, right, that's brilliant. Good luck with the rest of your soberness. But yeah, I was recently actually on the FP1 channel, if you guys didn't know, talking all about the Turkish Grand Prix, which was a couple of weeks ago. So be sure to go and check that out and go give it a watch. I'll stick it in a little tab up in the corner, one of the corners anyway. Now, I want to ask you loads about your channel, obviously, but we'll leave that until sort of the second half of the podcast, I think. But before that, I want to delve well back into the younger years of William. So I want to know, where did you grow up and how did you find sort of school life in your area? Was it more positive or more of a negative experience?
Oh, you can tell by my emotion. School was interesting. I'll tell you that. I mean, I grew up. Obviously, I'm at university in Southampton at the moment, but I grew up over in London, and you know, obviously, school. I don't know. It's a trick. School. I loved it. I did love it at the end of the day. And I will go back there in a heartbeat. You know, was it the best experience? Probably. I mean, we all kind of experienced a lot of bullying, I think, at school, and I think, you know, me.
Yeah.
I just didn't help myself. I think that's fair to say. When you start a YouTube channel at the age of 11 or 12,
mate, exactly the same with me. Honestly,
there you go. I think you know straight away, and you say, "Oh, you know, it's gonna be really cool." There was one point, and I kid you not, it was one point I was sat, you know, doing my prefect duties because that was me at that point, and I sit and I wonder why I was bullied. But I was sat on prefect duties. I had to send a letter to the science office, you know. And I walk in to the office, and what do I see? My own videos being played on the massive projector screen in front of all of the science department. And I was sat there thinking, at that point, I was like, right, okay, that's not gone well. And I was sat there and I thought, why do I do this? Why do I do this? And I think back, and the older I get, the cringier that memory gets. But I still enjoyed school. I think it was good. There was good memories there, and it's not. It could have gone a lot worse, I think. So yeah.
No, that's cool. That's so funny that you say that, because that's literally exactly the same to me. Like, honestly, I remember just one day walking into, I think it was a forum room. I think it might have actually been a different forum room.
Oh, no.
I'm walking in, and they just had it on full blast of all my videos going on. And I remember it was just getting passed around the teachers. And I was like, what is going on here? But I think you should look back on that in more of a positive light, mate, of like, you put yourself out there of what you wanted to do and putting out YouTube videos and having fun with yourself. And yeah, I mean, at that age, people do take a bit of a piss, don't they? Which is not really fair on you. But fair play to you, mate, for putting yourself out. I hope that didn't knock your confidence too much.
Nah, not too much. I think I did YouTube from 20. I think I started in 2012, and I stopped in 2017 because I'd started work, and I work as a tutor, and it was when one of the kids came up and recognised me. I was just like, right, okay, and that wasn't because I was famous, but that was because he'd gone to the same school and it had been passed down that much. I was like, okay, I need to call it quits for a minute, but. Yeah, it's all a bit of fun at the end of the day. And you look back at it and laugh, don't you?
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, you've got to look back on it and laugh or you'll cry. So, best way to look back on it. No, but that's fair enough. But was it over the sort of school time where you ended up getting into motor racing as well? Was it your parents that got you into it? Was it people at school? What happened in that sort of front?
That was way before school. I was brought up.
Oh, okay.
I was brought up around Formula One. You know. It was my mum actually who was a massive Damon Hill fan, massive Jordan fan.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it would more be a fact of you had to look after the baby, so might as well watch Formula One and procrastinate.
Fair,
you know, I think that was it, and I just grew up loving it. And I remember, as I was growing up, I would always ask, "Oh, is it the one with the tunnel?" Which was Monaco and.
The one with the tunnel.
Yeah,
I think they should rename it to that.
They should. It's like welcome to the one with the tunnel Grand Prix, and then Can you imagine that? If Monaco's ever held on April Fools and I'm in charge, that's exactly what's happening. But I think at that point it was like, oh, the cars go fast. I like it. Or this car's red. It looks cool. And it was back when Schumacher was winning absolutely everything. And did I watch it for the racing? Probably not. I watched it because I see things flying by on my screen as a little kid. I absolutely love that. But as I got older and grew more of an appreciation for the sport, I just fell in love with it, and I think 2010 was that first season that I remember watching in its entirety, having actually having watched it on my own, if that makes sense. So my mum hadn't watched that season. She kind of tailed off F1 after Shimi left. I decided I wanted to watch F1. And that was the first season where I really got into it and really got into the battle, and what a season to get into as well, with obviously
it's
Webber, Vettel, Alonso, Hamilton and Button all going for the championship in the last few rounds. So that's ever since then I've watched basically every single race, and just fallen more and more in love with it, even if the racing has got a bit rubbish in the last few years.
Yeah, not quite the 2010 season.
Not quite.
We'll say that. Yeah,
you can't beat that, can you? You can't beat 2010.
Exactly.
We'll have a season like it for ages.
2010 and 2012.
Yeah,
both
that's true.
Incredible seasons, but yeah. Hopefully we can get some more change ups after the rule change in 2022. We're all praying for that, I think. But why did your mum stop then? Was she a bit of a Schumacher fan girl?
The really funny thing, it was the complete opposite. She hated him.
Okay.
To the point where
she just loved to hate him.
Yeah, I think she was also a massive Damon Hill fan. So thinking back to 94 and what happened at the end of that championship, you're not going to be. You don't find many people that are massive fans of both Hill and Schumacher. Now, for some reason, my mum I think when Shimi retired in 2006, she just stopped watching it, and as a result, me being 6-7 years old at the time, didn't really watch it either. So I missed 07, 08 and 09, all three of which were brilliant seasons, unfortunately. And it was when Schumacher came back that my mum started talking about it, and so I'll watch it. Why not? And yeah, so I don't really know why she stopped, frankly, but yeah, I'm back into it now. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, she was just like, he's back. I can hate him again. Yes. Back in the Mercedes. That's funny. So yeah, you had this with your mum that got you into it. That's awesome. Was your dad sort of didn't really care at all?
Yeah,
was he not really into it?
I don't know. He was just never really into sports on the TV. Enough. To be honest, it always kind of came from my mum's side. And even now that we'll go out and me and her will head down to Goodwood every year, which obviously couldn't happen this time around because of COVID. But the last few years we've always gone down there, and it's just been lovely. It's always a great day out and good to spend time with your parents as well. I was at university. I don't see them as much as I used to. So yeah, it's nice to kind of spend that quality time, and it was kind of a point of kind of spending quality time with them. Obviously when you're a baby you don't really remember it that much, but it was nice, and I enjoyed it. It was just fun to sit down with your family and watch a race,
Yeah, no, that's sweet. No, I remember it's the same with me when I was a kid, because my family are quite into it as well, and I remember watching it with them. But I sort of, fell out of love with it between a similar time, I think, with you as well, sort of end of 2006, 2007, end of sort of Schumacher, because I was opposite to your mum. I saw Schumacher as the best. He was winning everything in the red car. I was like, well, he must be like the messiah here, so I'm gonna love him. But after that, I just sort of fell out of love with it, and it wasn't until sort of like much later than 2010. It was more like 2016 for me, where I started actually being, oh, this is actually quite cool. I might watch this a bit more. But did you find that when you were in school, obviously your mum got into it, you then got back into it more yourself in sort of 2010. Were your friends at school into it as well? Or was it like, I was talking to Tommy last week, and he was saying how when he was at school, he liked motorsport and he didn't know a single other person that did. Was it the same with you, or did you have a few friends at school that were quite into it as well?
It's really funny because I was teased even by my own friend group for liking Formula 1. Oh, it's just like going around in circles. Oh, they're all the same car. And obviously when you like aerodynamics as well, that really pisses you off when they say, oh, they're all the same car, because they're not. They're just not.
You're getting pissed off now.
Just look at it. Just look at the cars. Anyway. And funnily enough, two of the people that I've known all the way since year 7, we now sit on the Discord call and watch every single race. And it's where half of the FP1 jokes come from. I'm not actually that funny. I just steal it from them. But I think they've really got into it this season after having watched Drive to Survive. So it's kind of nice in a way, kind of having that one up. You tried to convince these people to watch Formula 1 for years, and now finally they're doing it and enjoying it as well.
No, that's nice. That's nice. Bringing people together with Formula 1. We love to see it.
Exactly.
We love to see it. So, yeah, you were going up through school. You, well, as you said, didn't have too many friends that liked motor racing at the time. Did you see motor racing as a thing that you'd possibly go into as maybe a career in the future? Or was it more of sort of just like it's just a fun thing I watch on the weekends?
Not in the capacity that I'm in now, if that makes sense. Like, I think, when a lot of the young kids growing up watching Formula 1, you want to be a driver. I think that's...
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, and I did a lot of go-karting as a kid. Not professionally, like, on holidays. Every time I'm on holiday, is there a go-karting track? Yes, get me on it. There's a brilliant place in Northern Ireland that my mum's side's from. We go over in Eddie Irvine and set up a karting karting school there, actually. And I went over and did a few of their summer programs. It was brilliant. And for my 12th birthday, my dad took me to, I forget the name of the track now, one of the famous ones in England, basically to test me out. And he was, I forget which one it was, but
whereabouts was it?
Somewhere in
talking London.
Near London, but I couldn't tell you exactly where. And the name
Rye House?
Maybe.
Buckmore Park?
It wasn't Buckmore Park. Definitely wasn't Buckmore Park.
Rye House is north. Buckmore Park is south.
Could have been Rye House then. I'm not 100% certain of the name, but
Rye House was the one that Lewis Hamilton frequented. So
possibly. I'd have to look at some bit. From images I could. From images I could tell you.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
But it was the first time, obviously, when you go to the holiday karting centres, they're like they've got the big rings round to stop you bumping into things. This was proper karting, and I was sat with a proper engineer, and he was getting printouts of my data, and he was able to tell me where I was quick, where I was slow, and it was really, really exciting. And it was my dad was like, "We'll see if you're any good." And if you are any good, then we'll talk about what we can do. At this point, I was 12 and probably at the point where I was too old anyway. And effectively, we got to the end of the day, and I thought I'd been zooming around the track. And it's only now that I can go back and look through the footage. I'll see if I can find some for you if you want. And everyone is streaming past me.
Really?
It's actually embarrassing. To the point where my dad said, "Is he any good? Is there any point going into this further?" And the guy, in the nicest possible way, said I was an absolute load of shit. So at that point,
hopefully not to your face.
Not to my face. He was. I think he kind of took my dad aside. Just gonna say, yeah, nah. But no, like it was still an amazing experience, and even from then on, like I never saw F1 as especially like going to the media side of things. It's like I hadn't really ever considered. Like the YouTube channel at the time was a gaming channel, and it was partly focused around Formula 1. I kind of went to and from it, and even so, again, it was never something that I think I'd be paid for. I think I'd be talking about on other people's channels like we are now. So I mentioned earlier after 2017 when I got recognised by someone I tutored, I was just like, yeah, okay, this has got to stop because there's no way. There's things that I've said on this channel that I don't need being put back out. I was 12.
Yeah, no.
I think we all.
I won't
mistakes.
ask you to repeat any of them. Don't worry.
Don't worry. We're not getting this video demonetised. I'll keep it up for you.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
But at that point, I was like, well, I do want to come back because I loved it and it was great and it was a good kind of escape when secondary school wasn't going so well, you know. And it was good just kind of express yourself. And I'd always built up this own kind of different persona in front of the camera. It was amazing, and I kind of thought to myself, and funny if it was the F1 word, you know, he's crossed what 100k at the time, but this was back when he was, you know, a much smaller, talking about 30,000 subs, and I was looking at it and I'm thinking, this guy's good doing F1 news. Like, I could bring it back. It wouldn't affect the tutoring job because it's all, you know, professional stuff. I'm not going to be cracking inappropriate jokes or swearing. It's all on my YouTube channel. That isn't going to happen in the future. Which genuinely was what I thought I'd be doing, and that's going to wear FP1 stuff. That's why it's called Formula Podcast 1, even though we don't do podcasts anymore, really.
That was my question for later, mate. That was my question for later.
But I'll tell you, you can ask it later, because I've got some exclusive news for you. I'll tell you what.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
There'll be an exclusive in here, if you can get this video out quickly enough. That's the thing. That'll be your challenge. But yeah, and yeah, if you go back through the channel, it is all new stuff. And it was really interesting. A few months back, I went through, and the way I present is so different to how I presented, to how I present now, to how I presented before I took my break on YouTube. So it is really weird going back. The first video didn't age well. It was why Red Bull will not drop Pierre Gasly, which
oh mate, you're stealing all my bloody questions. Okay, can you
great.
Calm down?
I'll stop. I'll say you go with your next question. I'll stop.
Yeah, I love the flow of the conversation, man. I love the flow. Yeah, we'll move back to slightly earlier than when the channel was made first. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Hold your horses, William. Jesus Christ. Okay. Right. So, yeah, you're still at school. You said that you weren't too sure of, you know, you didn't think that Formula 1 could be a possible avenue for work in the future. Did you have an idea of something that you did want to do in future? And, like, did you sort of mould your GCSEs and A-levels around that? Or what was your thoughts for future William?
So, I can't remember what I was... Actually, no, I do. I wanted to go into law, funnily enough, back in, like, from like year 7 to about year 11. I then very quickly realised that I hated reading, and that was not what I wanted to do. And it funnily enough was around 2017 when I did like an extended project qualification, which anyone who isn't from the UK, it's basically that you can do an essay, it's worth half an A-level on anything, like absolutely anything. Like I think someone did it in my year on zombie hunting. Like it's so strange. But I decided, you know, I'll do one on Formula 1. And I was looking at how far we can push the car's design, and it was something I'd never really considered before, and it was just so amazing. Looking into it, reading into it, and eventually interviewing an engineer from Mercedes about it, and that obviously led to further things with Merc. But it was what kind of convinced me. It's like could this be what I want to do? I'm not wanting to go into law. There was a point where I wanted to go into medicine, which is what I picked my A-levels off. Because I think I picked my GCSEs want to go into law, or picked my A-levels want to go into medicine, and then went into engineering. So, thankfully, the medicine approach meant I was doing maths and further maths and also physics. So that helped me. It worked out well in the end, basically. But yeah.
No, nice. So you were initially going to law. We could have not had F1 Dorney. We could have had F1 Willie.
Oh God, no, don't. No.
It had to rhyme. I'm sorry.
Oh God, that was that. I mean, that was the nickname I ran with through year 7.
Oh no.
Oh, hey ho.
There you are. Oh. So yeah, you then finally decided what you wanted to do was engineering. What type of engineering are you doing at university?
I was in aeronautical, so planes and rockets and racing cars.
Very nice, very nice. So what made you then, was it all this stuff with Merc and doing your, I was about to call it an EPQ. Yeah, is it an EPQ? Yeah, EPQ. Was it all that sort of stuff that made you then decide, right, I'm going to do engineering, I like cars, that's what I'm going to do at uni?
Yeah, pretty much. with that Merc interview, it led into a placement at the Mercedes F1 team, which was mental, you know, and I can't talk too much about it because I signed an NDA. But at the time, it was 2017, working on the 2018 car, which was just phenomenal, you know, and you get such an amazing appreciation of the inside of the sport, and that really was the trigger. I was like, right, this is something that I can do, and I know I can do, and that's what led me to start looking into aerospace engineering or aeronautical engineering, same thing really, and therefore, you know, Southampton.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. That's awesome. So, wow, yeah, really lit the fire inside of you then, that Mercedes stuff. That's really cool. What made you decide on Southampton? Was it sort of just like, that's the offer you got, so that's why you went there? Or was it specifically their course was amazing? What was it about Southampton?
Southampton's up there, like, with I think you have Cambridge, and then you have, when I was applying, it was Cambridge, Southampton, and Bristol were like the top three. I forget the order they were, but I think Cambridge was at the top. I was going to apply to Cambridge, but I very quickly kind of realised, like, this isn't for me. At the end of the day, and the Cambridge course was specific
culture.
Yeah, the Cambridge course as well was incredibly long. It was like 7 years, and you wouldn't be able to specialise into like aero by year 5 at the time. So I was just like, yeah, nah, I can't be asked for this, man.
I have a finite life on this earth. I'm not spending 7 years of it at uni.
Exactly. I mean, at that point, I was looking at, say, Bristol and Southampton as the top two that I wanted to really go to. With a few kind of like fallback offers as well. And obviously Bristol didn't give me an interview. They said, well, you could do electronic engineering. I was like, it's not really my thing. And then Southampton came in really, really late with the interview. So I was like, brilliant. All right, I'll snap this up. And I remember getting around to exam time, and my last exam, I absolutely screwed up. And I remember coming out of it in absolute tears, thinking, I've not got it. I've not got it. And somehow I scraped the clearing grade for Southampton and made it in, and Here we are. So it all worked out.
I'm glad. Yeah, it all worked out in the end. That's good, mate. That's funny you say about how they offered you Bristol offered you that other type of engineering. That was similar to me on clearing day. I just didn't get it was the EPQ that meant I didn't quite get the grade for Sheffield that I wanted to go to, and they said, right, we can't do, I think it was called like Digital Media and Society or something like that. They were like, we can't offer you that, but we can offer you childcare.
Right, okay.
And I was like, what? Where have you come up with that
bit of a difference.
Why would I ever want to move to that? What? So I ended up just going through clearing instead, because I was like, you can piss off Sheffield, I don't want to go to you anymore. But yeah, no, that's funny, mate. So yeah, as we say, yeah, you moved up and you moved to university now, you become an adult, but I know that through these formative years that you've been saying, you did struggle slightly with your mental health and some struggles with your weight. Now, you've been pretty open about this on social media before, which is why I thought that it would be an okay topic to talk about in a bit more detail. Now, were you able to tell us sort of a little bit more about how you've managed to not sort of come out the other side of it, obviously it's always like a working project, but improve your sense of worth for yourself?
The camera just cut out there, so I'll just start it again.
No problem.
There we go. Yeah, so it's obviously it's an interesting battle. I think as a guy as well, and you kind of think about the stereotypes around mental health and men, it's quite difficult, you know, and the chances to speak out, they were there, but I didn't want to take them because you have this massive stereotype like, oh, men don't suffer from mental health, men are going to be strong, you know, all this, and it's not a load of rubbish, really, and it's, you know, it's not something that's spoken about enough, I think, and you know, we're at a time in the world, I think, where stereotypes are being challenged, especially on the female side of things, which is brilliant, you know. And look in Formula One, you've got the W Series, we've got people like Jamie Chadwick proving that women can really take the fight to men at the top tier in motorsport. And I think, you know, that is fantastic, and it would just be amazing to see something like that happen with male mental health as well. It's something that's, you know, obviously very important with me, and something that I'm obviously working on. But you know, like I go back to March, and March this year was really dark for me. Like it wasn't necessarily one big thing, but it was lots of little things all kind of building up and piling on top of each other. And strangely, although COVID, I think, has really made people struggle with their mental health a lot more, it had almost like an opposite effect for me. In that, at that point I was really struggling with uni. I was falling behind on work because of other things were all kind of piling up, and kind of COVID and the first lockdown led to an opportunity to take a breath, kind of step back, and just breathe. And I think before uni, I was an introvert, and I think uni has turned me into quite an extrovert, and always going out and always trying to make people happy. And what I found, in fact, there's a brilliant metaphor. It was an image I saw on Facebook a few months back of someone with a backpack. It's like a battery charge, and he's handing out that last charge of battery to somebody else, but he's got none left. And that I looked and thought, that person was me. I spent too much time trying to make sure that everyone else around me was happy and everyone was doing really well, that I forgot to look after myself and think about how I was feeling through all this. And yeah, there were times where I pushed myself to an uncomfortable limit to make somebody else happy. And really, once you get into that spiral, it just spirals downhill and downhill and downhill, and it sends you into this horrible kind of slump. And lockdown, when I was given that chance to isolate myself, focus just on myself, because I physically couldn't go out and help other people, I could sit back and say, right, let's actually look at myself for a minute. I got into running, started losing weight. Still, the plan is to run a 10k at some point. Obviously, lockdown 2 pushed that back, so whenever that'll be, brilliant, but that training's on track, and
nice.
It's coming a long way. And obviously I've in that time as well, so YouTube started to really, really improve, and I've met some brilliant people through the YouTube community, and it's just been wonderful. And having that extra level of support, even though none of us have ever met, I think it is absolutely brilliant. And the fact that everyone is going to check in with everyone, and I'm really privileged to have such a close group of friends now. Both at university and also in the virtual sense from the F1 content community, that we're all there for each other. It's no longer me handing out my last bit of charge. We're swapping pieces of charge, if that makes sense. It's just so much better. And I think I put it out on a post a few days back. It's not over yet. I'm still going to have down days, and I'm ready for those, but I feel a lot better about myself now than I did back in March.
No, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, mate. I'm very glad to hear that, and I'm glad to hear that at least one positive has come from lockdown and helping
there
you,
you
mate.
Go. Yeah,
we've all done it for you. There you go, buddy. No, I'm super glad to hear that, mate. I'm super glad to hear that the Formula One space and the Formula One community has been able to assist so many people. I see that so many times on Twitter and things like that, of people giving their stories of similar thoughts to yourself. So no, that's nice to hear that you've had positive improvement, and fair play, mate, on that, going for that 10k. I don't think I could run 1k, so fair enough, buddy, fair enough. Where do you go even to do a 10k? Because I know you've got park runs that do 5ks, don't they? Do you have to sign up to something specific to do a 10k?
So funnily enough, and it was what convinced me to do it in the first place, was Silverstone do 10ks and half marathons around the track.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was that trigger point. I sort of thought, that
cool.
would be awesome. I've been to Silverstone once for Formula Student and done a competition there, but to actually go and run around the track, to experience the track, that would just be brilliant. I thought, what the hell? Let's train up for a 10k and do it.
That's awesome, mate. You've got me kind of wanting to do that now. Maybe I'll train up to a 10k and we can do it together.
That sounds good. We can put a bet. Funnily enough, the first, I have a bet with one of my housemates. And right. I'm worried because I made this bet when the channel was on about 600 subs.
Right. And
the bet was, if I can run a 10k in less than an hour, he will go bold, which I've known him for years. I want to see. But if he can run a 10k in less than 45 minutes, he gets full creative control over an FP1 video.
Oh my god.
And saying that when I had 600 subs, I'm like, that's fine, it'll go up and no one will watch it anyway. I'll get the 10 views that I normally get. No.
Mate, you didn't plan forward very well with that one.
I didn't.
Oh dear. Well, I'm praying for you a lot more now. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm praying against you now. I kind of want to see that.
I really don't. I'm scared of what he'd do.
I don't know him, and I'm a bit scared to be fair, so there's no chance I'd let any of my housemates go anywhere near my channel.
Oh.
Not a chance. It would be just too horrendous. So you're a braver man than I am, mate. You're a braver man than I am. But yeah, that's nice of you to say. Very powerful things that you said there, Will. But if you could give one piece of advice to younger Will, what do you think it would be?
Focus on yourself, I think, and don't. The way I say it is treat your relationships like, I'm gonna go scientific. Treat it like efficiency. Efficiency is what is it? The power in over the power out times 100%. At the moment, younger Will has the efficiency in some of his relationships with Victorian light bulb. In that it's completely and utterly rubbish. Just focus on. I'd tell him just to focus on himself and make sure that he's happy before he starts trying to make other people happy.
That's nice, mate. That's nice. And of course, the engineering student is able to make mental health into an engineering problem. So there you go.
There you go.
No, that's amazing, mate. That's lovely. And a nice sentiment to end the first part of this interview with lovely, lovely William. We'll be talking further about his rise to relative fame on YouTube and what made him start producing content in the first place. So don't go anywhere. And we're back. Welcome back to the ChatterBox Podcast. I'm still your host, Sir Meerkat, and I'm still joined here by Will from Formula Podcast 1. So Will, now in the second half, as I said earlier, we're going to look a bit deeper into the YouTube channel. We did have a bit of a speak about it earlier, but we had to stop because we were getting too carried away with ourselves. Now, you started producing videos back in 2016, so quite a while on the channel. Now, the first upload is Goodwood Festival of Speed highlights. And to be fair, it kind of banged. It's got like 13k views, your first video.
It did.
So
Yeah.
that's sweet. Did it like suddenly shoot up? Do you remember?
Well,
or what happened with that?
The story is, that isn't the first video. That's the first video that you guys can see.
It's the first public one.
The first video came back in a completely different channel back in 2012, which you also can't find. So nice try.
Mine's the same. Don't worry.
And that one, it was me with my camera filming the screen, trying to do my best impression of Into the Barrier, who I watched a lot at the time.
No way.
It is the worst. A few people have seen it. It is the worst thing.
Amazing.
I'll tell you what, I'll probably use it as leverage in some sort of bet at some point. I'll say, hey, if I can hit so many subs, I'll release this. But that's where it started. It was awful. It was awful. That video was, at that point, I moved to a new channel in 2014, which is what FP1 is now. And I uploaded a lot under a different name. I don't know what I talked about. There was one point where I tried to do some sort of analysis of the 2015 cars, having done absolutely no engineering work. I had no idea what I was talking about. I think I spent half the time saying, "Oh, that looks cool," but not explaining why because I didn't understand it. And
You're just describing my videos, mate.
Yeah, my name was actually Moto Meerkat. You can find it on this channel now. But yeah, I went to 2016 and sort of semi-professionally vlogged it, if you can call it that, and more just kind of recording the cars. And I just uploaded it because at that point I really didn't know what this channel was going to be. And then that I kind of obviously took off because it was Formula 1 and Goodwood and everyone was going back and watching it. That was great. I didn't really think much of it at the time. I was just like, that's pretty cool. And then I carried on uploading as I did on that channel. I pirated everything when I kind of stopped in 2017.
Yep.
And then obviously we came back with the Gasly one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say, the channel sort of sat dormant for a couple of years, and then, as you say, the first video back that you mentioned again earlier was why Red Bull won't drop Pierre Gasly. The "won't" is in capitals. That's why I shouted it. But yeah, I've literally wrote here, not exactly the best aging title in the world. But to be fair, still a very interesting topic. What made you decide to go, hey, I've got an opinion on this. I want to share it to the world on my channel.
So I was kind of like what I mentioned earlier. I was watching channels like F1 Reviews, the F1 Word, and I thought, you know what, F1 News, I can have a job and do that at the same time, and it's just be a bit of fun, really. I didn't expect to get anywhere. I mean, at this point, I've been on YouTube for 2018, wasn't it? So, what was it, 2018 or 2019? Would have been 2019. So I've been on YouTube for seven years and amassed at that point about 300 subscribers. So I was like, not many people are going to see this anyway. we were on the grind for a very. To be fair, why those first 300 subbed, I really wasn't sure, but. I mean, there were probably just 300 of my own channels. I probably just made 300 accounts at the time. But, but really, I just kind of thought, I've got to start with a bang, start with a bit of a clickbaity title and a clickbaity video.
Nice. I
set
like the
things off, see how it went. And the video did all right in the end. I think it perked up the views when obviously Gasly was then dropped and it was just the comment section going, I've just clicked on this to tell you you're a fucking idiot. I
did think it was funny that you had that video on the channel and then like 3 videos later it's like, breaking news, Gasly's been dropped.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of F1 YouTuber history. I mean, what a way to start a channel at the end of the day. I mean, begin it like that, and hey, it's all a bit of fun. But at that point, you can go back and watch it. The videos are completely different to what I put out now. Like that all kind of changed fairly recently, kind of mid-lockdown.
No, that's nice, mate. So you kind of spoke about it earlier about why. Or sort of, the channel was named Formula Podcast 1, but you didn't really produce podcasts. I've got it written down here. Why did you name the channel Formula Podcast 1, but it wasn't until I counted your 21st public upload on the channel that you actually did a podcast?
Was it really that long?
Yeah, it was that long.
It feels like so much. It feels so much short of me. I think it was because I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and I wanted to make a channel name that would be easily found.
I do like the play on words, I will say
that. Yeah, because I mean, well, we can't. I'm quite lucky. If I had taken the P out, I'd be in trouble at the moment with that.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say that. Do you think they're going to come after you?
I hope not. I've talked to F1 Dorney about the laws behind it, maybe, but I feel like since FP1 stands for something else, I'm all right. I don't. Well, we'll see.
Hopefully, you should be okay. I'm very glad I went with Moto Meerkat right now. I'm set pretty happy at the moment.
Yeah, me and you were saying like, yeah, we're safe. We're all right.
We're sound. We're just laughing like Cranky over here, who's getting fucked.
I really feel for Cranky. I think it's such a stupid situation. But
I am just taking the piss. Yeah, I do really feel bad for him.
It's completely.
It's awful.
Yeah, but
it's awful.
I'm trying to remember why I started it, because there was several different names. There was several about kind of crashing into barriers and several barrier-related names. And before I uploaded for the first time, I had several different... The channel run through several different names, and I was going through creating logos for it, and I don't like it. I'm going to change it.
Can you give us any ideas of what they might have been?
I cannot remember off the top of my head, unfortunately. But it was something to do with like... something to do with like crash barrier-related things. Which
copying your favourite YouTuber, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Even when I was 19, I'm still at it. But no, I ended up setting on FP1, and I mean, the whole intro turned into a meme by the end of it, I think. But I can't quite pinpoint when I went from "Hey there, guys, I'm Will, and welcome to FP1" to "Hey there, guys, I'm Will, and welcome to FP1, and welcome back to a brand new video." I don't know when I reverted to my kind of gaming channel self, which is what it was before, and I don't know. It's just kind of stuck at that point. And I mean, yeah, you've got your kind of classic intro as well, so it's all a bit of fun, really, and I think that's the channel starting with completely different guys. Why I picked it. I think the whole plan was me and a couple of mates to sit and just chat about Formula 1. It was going to be the 3 of us.
Right.
It started in the summer, so before we all go back to uni, I was the only one that could sit and make videos. So I think that's kind of where it started. Then we did the FP1 podcast, which lasted for a little bit, got very little views, to be perfectly honest with you, but it was good just to sit, and they were easy to edit as well. It didn't really affect uni life that much because I can get a video edited in about 10-15 minutes. It was like the audio, chuck a few pictures in, and hey presto, we're done. So it was fairly easy to do, and it was just nice sat there and chatting about Formula 1. Really, I didn't think it would go anywhere. Like I said, I've been on YouTube for 7 years at that point. I was like, if something was going to happen, it would have happened by now. I'm not going to blow up, so I'm just going to sit here and upload what I want to upload and just enjoy doing it.
So, I mean, that's a good mindset to take into it, I think. And it's probably that mindset that has eventually helped you take off. I feel like it's when you focus so much on the trying to take off that it takes away from the actual, like, passion and love of the thing. So yeah, I think you just sort of, and as you were saying with the intro, how that's evolved into being kind of a meme. I think that's more of like your personality, mate. That's just quite funny. So it's nice to see that. But as you were saying with the name, do you think that the name still fits well with the content you're providing? Have you ever thought that you might change it, or do you think that the name has sort of transcended its inherent meaning now and it's sort of more of like your brand as FP1?
Yeah, I was looking at if I could maybe switch around what FP1 stands for at a time, but I've hit the point now where I'm like, you know what? I've had so many videos that have gone up under that name. It'd be weird to change it. I think it'd be just so strange. We still have the FP1 podcast, the post podium podcast. Sorry, that goes out.
The one that I was on.
The one that you were on. Yes. That is going to end at the end of this season, but you know, I know it is. I mean, I'm so sorry to the 20 people that watched it. But the thing was, what I wanted to do was I wanted to create something that was obviously like the other kind of comedy videos that I spend more of my time on. They take about 8 hours to edit. And that's just editing. You then got to record them. You got to write the script. You got to do the research. Oh yeah. And when you've got university, it's very, very difficult to do. You know, I think I premiered my first video about like that in a month, which is something that I don't like doing because I want to give the guys content. You know, I want to give them content which is good, and that content can be good, but it just takes a massive amount of time to get it done. So I thought I need a series that's going to be easy to do, and I can edit quite quickly and I can still have a laugh. I can still enjoy it. And I know it's something that the people that watch it will enjoy as well. And that's led to something called Track Limits, which is going to be a new series that I'm going to be rolling out alongside. This is breaking as well. No one's. This is amazing. I think you have been privileged with this. It's been me, Elliot F1, and F1 Diary TV. We're all going to head over, and the whole kind of point. It all kind of started with us just laughing about Top Gear and said, how brilliant would it be if the three of us could do something not similar, but kind of put our own sort of spin on it and talk about F1 today, but also just have a laugh. And that's kind of where it stemmed from. We're recording the pilot this time next week, which is going to be incredible, hopefully. And I feel I've got this image what it's going to be like in my head. And this will be like the Pierre Gasly video. Maybe if we come back to it in a few months and it's all tanked, it's all gone down the drain. But the way I see it in my head, it could work, and it's something that makes YouTube a lot more feasible at uni as well. As you'll know, like I'm in third year now. That you're in third year as well. It's difficult to get all that. It's difficult to find time for YouTube sometimes, and you can find yourself in kind of spells where you can't upload because you've got coursework after coursework after coursework. And then, like I said, when my videos take about 8 hours to edit, I can't always afford to take 8 hours of a week to focus on something that isn't university. And you know, I've got my job on the side that I've got Formula Student as well. It all kind of piles up on top of each other. So Track Limits is hopefully going to be something that is going to be brand new and different, and hopefully what people want to watch as well. It should be a laugh. Like the three of us, like we all met over lockdown, but we've all kind of built such an amazing relationship, and we all kind of bounce off each other really, really well. And you know, hopefully it will turn out all right. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and you know, even just to record, it'll be an absolute blast. And yeah, we'll just kind of see what happens with it, really.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be really fun, mate. That sounds really good. Is it going to be like a whole new Track Limits channel, or is it going to be sort of more of a series on your channel or on one of the other boys' channels?
For now, it's a series on FP1. I think it's a matter of seeing where it goes from there. I think you know as well as me, starting up a second channel it's not easy.
Starting from zero again.
Starting from zero again is difficult. I think the YouTube algorithm considers that a new channel, doesn't consider that the second channel of a slightly larger creator, so it isn't as simple as starting from getting loads of subs off the bat, because that's just not going to happen. You know, I think at the moment it will stay on the FP1 channel. I mean, who knows? FP1 could get turned into Track Limits. We might change the name. That'd be a long way off. But it's really just seeing how the first few episodes go, really.
Yeah. No, that's cool, mate. That's cool. What's the sort of... I know you've been saying it's sort of like a sit-down of a chatty show. Is it sort of like a weekly thing of talking to the race? Or is it more like general motorsport sphere banter?
The plan is general at the moment, but again, like we've not filmed the pilot yet. So I think the plan is we'll film a pilot, we'll show it to a select group of people,
Gotcha.
And then we'll kind of get feedback based off that, and we'll release the pilot probably, and then kind of mold the show into whatever it wants to be, and whatever the people want, really. Because I think the three of us are really like our personalities gel so well together. We can talk about anything and just have a laugh doing it, and hopefully make people laugh as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's the main thing. Making yourself laugh and making everyone else laugh. That's great. I'm super looking forward to watching that, buddy. But back focusing on your specific channel slightly. Now, I know very well how difficult it is to grow on YouTube. What was the catalyst for your growth on YouTube as such? Was there a specific video that blew up and that was sort of created the snowball effect, or was it quite a slow grind to the 9,000 that you're at now?
It was actually really interesting because the first video that I thought would blow up, and it's quite a vain thing to think, this is just gonna blow up, but it was when I'd secured an interview with William Storer, and that's gonna hurt you a little bit.
Oh no, I remember this. I remember this.
I'll tell you, this it was so funny because I have about 3 hours of footage of me sat here like waiting for him to pop on the Zoom call, and he just never did, and I really persevered. I thought, because I made the mistake of announcing it, and I wish I hadn't, because I was like, I've announced it now, it's gotta happen, or I'm gonna look like an absolute tit. So, what am I gonna do here? So I just kept pestering him, and eventually we got him on, and the interview got 1,500 views, which for me at the time was great, and we got a few subs off it, but it was, looking back, I remember being quite, not disappointed, but slightly underwhelmed at the fact that it hadn't done as well as I thought it would, given all the controversy he was surrounded in and everything that was going on at that point. And then, not long after, it was about a week later, I was running out of ideas. I messaged a group of F1 content creators and said, Ferrari is struggling at the moment. Would they want to see a video, maybe me mixing a bit of comedy with Ferrari struggles and explaining why they're struggling? And everyone was like, yeah, go on and do it. And I threw this video together in about 2 hours, put it out there. I remember it was on the Friday night of the first race in Austria. I was out for a run. I was on 200 views. I thought, for me, 200 views, that's brilliant. I'll take that. Got back from my run, and it doubled to 400. I was like, oh, okay, not bad. By the time I went to bed, it was at 1,000. And now it's at about 46,000 views or something.
Wow.
And at that point, I don't know whether it's the same with you, but I've always had the first video that blows up, you don't get many subs off it because people say, they've only got 600 subs, they can't be a big channel. And you get a few people sub, and I think that video kind of got me to the 1,000 mark. And then from then on, I then had the Grosjean video that went out. And that,
I remember that one absolutely blowing up.
That one thing is, it didn't blow up initially because it got copyright claimed.
Really?
Yeah, it was Grosjean. It was a video that I made. And I was looking back at it and thought, you know what? This is one of the videos I'm most proud of. And if it catches the algorithm, I think it can get me a lot of subs, and a lot of attention. And then I uploaded it, and it got about 2,000-3,000 views, which wasn't bad. But it was caught in that loop of being copyright claimed, so the algorithm wasn't pushing it. And I said, you know what? I've worked about 12 hours on this video. I'm gonna fight the claim. And the guys let it go.
Nice.
And from that point, and you can see in the YouTube analytics when it went up, it just shot up. And I think we were like 120,000 views on that video now. And I look at that and I just think, that's ridiculous. That is about a sixth of my entire total views on the channel, making that one video. And also the feedback that I got on it as well. And I think when the channel blows up, and especially when you're quite a small creator, you see so many people come in saying, I can't believe this channel's only got 4,000 or 2,000 subs. Like, this is amazing. And it kind of propels you to want to make even more. And I kept making, there was a point where I was going weekly, I was getting these uploads out. and we hit this massive kind of high point where we're getting like 200, 300 subs a day. I was just like, what is going on? This is ridiculous. And it's obviously, it slows down now. It always will slow down. I think YouTube growth kind of goes in peaks. You'll get a massive peak and you'll slow down for a few months. Then you get a big peak and you'll slow down. I was just ended up on this surprisingly long peak, which lasted almost an entire month. And
you lucky bugger.
I was a very lucky bugger. I'll be fair. And then we had obviously I made a few videos on Red Bull at the time as well, and on Albon, and since that was in the news, it perked those videos up as well, and I never expected it, and there was a point, I think, just before that first video went out, or that first kind of Ferrari video went out, that I was considering thinking, I'm going into uni, do I really want to keep doing this? I don't know. I've been doing this for a year. We've got nowhere. And then all of a sudden, it all shot up. And I was just like, wow, okay, I'm quite happy I gave it that few extra weeks. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster, really.
That's amazing, man. I do feel like I remember that happening, of you being like, I'm not too sure if I should carry on doing this. And then suddenly, blam, you're flying up, mate. So it was fantastic to see. And also, you mentioning that William Story interview, mate, I'm still absolutely pissed off about that. I don't think I'll ever not be pissed off about that.
I'll tell you, we've got to get him on. I'll try and link you two up. I've still got him in the DMs.
Mate, I've still got his phone number.
Same. I
call him very often. He just ignores me.
Does he?
Yeah, he just never picks up my phone.
I tell you what,
ever.
The really strange thing was about a month or so back, he randomly retweeted our video again. Like he went through my Twitter, found the original tweet that I tweeted out, and retweeted it again, saying it was amazing to go on this young journalist channel. Like, a journalist. I wouldn't call myself a journalist anymore, mate. We've moved away from that, pal. I tell you what, I really want to do a video on the making of it, but I'm scared he'll see it. Because at the same time, at the same time, it was really good of him to even want to go on and to go on and take up his time. Yes, he sent me on a wild goose chase initially, but it's still really cool to have had him on, and
that was pretty cool.
If he did spurt an absolute load of bollocks, but
he did.
I mean, there was a point as well, and I want to release the version that shows my reactions to what he said. Like when he said COVID was fake, I was just sat there, just like, yeah, sure, pal, you go on. The guy, he's an interesting one. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think because I remember that it was always happening, and then everyone suddenly realising, oh god, he's actually doing interviews now. Everyone try and get involved, get him on the channel. But
everyone was saying Tomo to text him, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna hop in there. Why not? And then he said, yeah. Fair. And it was like 2 a.m. in the morning. He was like, yeah, sure. It was just, and I couldn't breathe.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think it was because you had done this interview with him, but then I was wanting to do it with him, and we set it up. And you said you had announced it, and now if you didn't do it, you'd look like a tit. I announced it, and it never happened, so I look like a complete tit. But I think it was because he then asked me what was going to be included, and I didn't lie and say that it was going to be all nice, and I told him that I was going to challenge him on some subjects, and I think he didn't really like that.
Fair enough.
I think maybe that's probably why he binned me off, which is fair enough. But hey ho, I didn't want him on the channel anyway. Piss off, William. He's gonna hate that now, isn't he? He won't be watching this far in. It's fine.
We're 54 minutes in. I think we're okay. we can start going to really edgy stuff if you want at this point.
Okay, no. No. Okay, final question from me. You were saying earlier about how you've got this whole new series coming to the channel.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you at the end, what did you think your plans for the channel would be in the future? Because, as you said, you got to the point where you thought you might stop, and then suddenly you've blown up and you've been able to do all this other content with all these interesting people. What do you think you're going to bring forth to the channel in future?
Just going to reset my camera again.
No problem.
I'll be honest, I can't remember what I wanted it to be when I started it, if I'm perfectly honest with you. In terms of, I think at the time when it was still a news channel, I was like, I just keep things as they are, report the news, short, quick videos every now and then, no real schedule. And then, when things start to blow up, I did start thinking about it a little bit more, and I thought, I think when you have like a massive kind of spike up in growth, I do think the thought crosses your mind. You think, could I do this as a job? And the answer as it stands now is still probably no. The ad revenue that's brought in is nice, and when you've got another job alongside it, it does make uni a hell of a lot easier. But I think as it stands at the moment, it's not something that I can really think about. I think I've got to be careful with it because, obviously the humor around it is on the line at times. I think we've made a few controversial statements surrounding Bernie Ecclestone and his ability to turn his wife on at some point. But there you go. I think we compared him to a 2019 Haas F1 car at the time. It wasn't great. But yeah, I've got to be careful because obviously I'm applying to like F1 roles as well, and I've got to make sure I slag off the right people and not the wrong people. Hence why a few teams have escaped my grasp so far because I've had interviews with them. But I think it's at the moment I'm just kind of playing it as it goes. Like if I have a video idea, I'll make a video on it and I'll upload it. If it does well, great. If it doesn't, so what? I just want to. If I create something that I'm happy with, then fair play, and obviously track notes. We'll see how that goes. Like the three of us, we've obviously kind of talked a little bit about it. We again don't really know where it's going to go, but we would love to kind of do challenges together. I think we have this plan in our heads of kind of picking a certain motorsport location and all racing to it and kind of vlogging the trip.
That is such a good idea. That's so, as you said, that's so Top Gear.
Exactly. That's
so
it.
Good.
All started from kind of watching it and said, you know what?
Yeah.
We don't obviously want to copy Top Gear. We want to kind of put our own sort of spin on it. But we just sat there thinking. We were thinking about it and thought, how brilliant would that be if we could pull that off and it would work? And like I say, it's early days. We've not filmed the first episode yet, but we'll see kind of how it goes. And I know I've made mates for life out of it anyway. So it's. Yeah, I think really I've already got so much out of YouTube. I could stop now and I could be happy. I'm not going to, but like if I, for whatever reason, if someone came up to me and said, you've got to stop your YouTube channel, I would be like, okay, fine, cool. Or like if YouTube came and terminated my channel, I would be happy because I wouldn't be happy, but I'd be happy with what I've achieved and I'd be happy with what I've got out of it.
Yeah. No, that's lovely. That's lovely to hear, mate. Very positive. Very positive. I love to hear it. I'm super excited to see whatever comes forth on the channel in future, and obviously all the new series that's coming. We won't call it. We'll take it away from Top Gear. It's a fully new idea that we love to see. So, mate, that's awesome. But as I said, it's been amazing to talk to you today. Now I'm done with the questions, but the fans are not. So thank you to everyone who sent me questions for Will over on my Instagram and on my Twitter. Links to both will be in the description down below if you don't follow me over there already. So Will, are you ready for the fan questions?
I'd never thought I'd be saying this, but yes, I'm ready for questions from fans. That's so strange. Okay. That's a weird thing to say.
Okay. Oh, we've got a couple of creators in here as well who wanted to ask you a few questions, and we'll start with one at fanatics_F1 on Twitter. Mike asks, what is the most interesting thing that you learnt while on placement with Mercedes F1? Ooh. Now, I don't know if this is still under lock and key if you can't really say anything, but what can you tell us?
What can I tell? I mean, they've still, can I tell that they've still got Takuma Sato locked up downstairs from the old Honda days? No, I think the most interesting thing really was seeing how the team operated. And I'm going to be kind of lucid saying this, but like the way it's, you've heard Mercedes being called a well-oiled machine, but like experiencing it from the inside, like you really see how slick they all are. It's brilliant. The fact that the team work incredibly hard, yet at the same time have this really fun, energetic atmosphere. It was the weekend. The week I did was the weekend after they'd won in Singapore. And it was a race that they didn't expect to win because they were off the pace all weekend, and then the Ferraris took each other out with Verstappen in that massive crash into turn one. And I remember getting on day one, and they said, "Oh, you coming to the reception?" I was like, "What reception?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're having champagne in the down in one of the garages." I was like, I'm in on this. I can't drink, so I'm on the orange juice, but okay. And I remember just sat there and I was like, oh, I'm under 18. He's like, yeah, but you can have champagne. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna be sensible. It's early in the morning. Let's not get tipsy in my first day at Merck. So yeah, it was just seeing how the team operate was just fascinating.
No, that's nice. You didn't fancy getting some Dutch courage for your first day from the champagne, then?
Definitely not. No.
Might have got a bit wrong if that had happened. No, that's nice to hear, mate. That's nice to hear. Second question, at JWF1_ on Twitter, he asks, as a fellow creator of mildly controversial content, how do you deal with negativity? He said, obviously, content like yours or mine can be quite divisive, so I'm interested to know how you handle it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, really. I think, I don't say this in the most self-deprecating way possible, but I obviously experienced quite a lot of it from bullying growing up. So I've already had that. I've had a large kind of load of it thrown on me already just through growing up. So from that perspective, it's...
You built up the skin already.
Yeah, exactly. I look at it and I think, it's fine. But at the same time, for every negative comment, there's about 5 positive ones, sometimes more than that. And I think I think is I try to respond to everybody or as many people as I can in the comment section. And there's 2 techniques I have. The first one is just fully focusing on the positives and just really kind of picking up those positive comments and just taking all the love from there. But at the same time, when you do get a hateful comment, it's taking the piss a little bit. And there was one guy that says, this FP1 guy is absolutely rubbish. And I go and says, yeah, mate, same. I've just disliked the video. And just little kind of offhand comments like that. And some of them, there was one I said, it was a very similar scenario. And the guy responds to it say, all right, yeah, that was funny, dude. I'll actually sub for that. I'm just like, well, fair enough. I'll take it. That's what I do anyway.
No, that's good. Yeah, usually people are just saying it as like offhand things. They don't really actually think about, oh, this is going to a person.
Yeah.
It could genuinely affect them. So yeah, coming back off with just some quick cheeky banter is always the best way to deal with it, mate. So that's good to hear that you managed to turn some people around. But I'm not too used to it yet really myself, because a lot of my videos I make are sort of like history videos or like explaining things videos. So like the first proper video I did of sort of an opinion based thing was my one about the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and yeah, some of the comments I got on that were quite interesting, we'll put it that way. So it was quite eye-opening to see, like, for channels like yourself, of ones where you're constantly making videos that are about your own thoughts and opinions of how you can be like so easily attacked in the comments, really. So you've done well to keep your thick skin there, mate, and sort of just banter them off and not really care. Because yeah, you shouldn't take it at face value, because realistically, what someone writes in a comment on a YouTube video is not nearly meant in the same like way as if they said it to your face in real life. Right? It just wouldn't be. So that's nice to hear. And hopefully JW is obviously another one that's blown up quite quickly around motorsport content. So he's had to quite quickly get used to that, I think, as well. So I think that's nice for him to hear from yourself. But yeah, we'll move on to the third question. At F1_Jeb on Twitter, they asked, what is your favourite team and driver combo?
Oh, okay. Combo's throwing me off a little bit now. Oh, that's tough. Because favourite team driver, I'd say Danny Rick, and then wherever Danny Rick is driving. But
right, okay.
Combo.
Danny Rick at what team? You've got to pick one now.
Let's see. Red Bull initially was amazing. Like, if I had to pick his period as well, Red Bull 2014, Danny Rick when he was beating Vettel. If they just had the car, or if Danny Rick had joined a year earlier, I would have loved to see Daniel go against Seb in Seb's prime in like 2013 Red Bull. I think that would have been really interesting. So let's go with that, actually. Yeah, you can say the cliche answer of like Hamilton, Mercedes, but no, let's go with Danny Rick, Red Bull, kind of 2014 to 16.
Nice. No. Good answer. Very good answer, mate. I'd like to hear that. We'll move on to the final question. At Lawrence_Gill
on
Instagram asks, I thought you might do, because it's an interesting question.
I went to school with
It's got kind of two... got kind of two parts to it.
Okay.
So we'll start with the first part. How good was Michael Schumacher in 2005 and 2006? Just past it, or still the same man that won 5 world championships in a row? We'll start with that half of the question. What do you think?
I took that's surprisingly mature from Lawrence. I was expecting something utterly shambolic there.
Okay, before you start bigging him up, you haven't heard the second part. Of the
that's
focus on the first
half. I think. I mean, you've got to look at Ferrari. I think 2005 especially, they had a dog of a car. And how they did that, I really don't know, because the F2004 was superb. Like, it was utterly brilliant. It surprised the Ferrari engineers with how quick it was. And then they got to 2005 and they were rubbish. They won one Grand Prix, and that was the US one, where, well, 6 cars started the race. They were against the Minardis and the Jordans. If they'd lost that, then blimey.
Tough race.
Yet, I think despite that, Michael Schumacher was still the championship contender to Alonso. So I would argue to an extent that Schumacher was still in his prime. In 2006 as well, I think he had a much better year than 05. And again, he was fighting with Alonso. Alonso and that Renault car were in their element. It was the changing of the guard, really. Ferrari were finally being moved aside after half a decade in dominance. And really, I think Schumi still had it. It's just the car didn't. And I think he could have stayed on. I think in the end, they wanted to bring Raikkonen in. And I don't think it's ever been kind of confirmed, but the plan was to ditch Massa. And Massa had always been kind of Schumi's protege in Ferrari, and he'd been kind of showing him the ropes after Barrichello left the team. And Schumi therefore partly retired to save Massa's job. Obviously, we saw how good Felipe Massa turned out to be in 07, 08. And onwards. So, really, I think he was as good. It was just more the fact that the car and the team weren't there. And at that point, Ferrari was starting to lose their key personnel, that kind of dream team that brought them all that success. And I think, Michael, he's an incredible talent, but I think not enough has been given out to the team on that. We all kind of think, oh, Michael was brilliant, 91 race wins, and he was. Don't get that wrong. But the team itself, that dream team, of Ross Brawn, Jean Todt, that were there at Ferrari, Nigel Stefani as well, bringing that team together and getting it so well oiled, a bit like Mercedes are now, really.
Yeah.
I think doesn't get as much attention.
Yeah, no, good answer, mate. I completely agree. Now we'll move on to the second half of the question. Now, it doesn't actually make sense to me.
Okay.
But we'll just see what you decide to respond to this. He said, also ask him about Dabby is da boss. Sounds weird, but ask him.
I have no idea what he's talking about. I've never heard.
You sound a bit thrown off by that, mate. Care to elaborate as to what this is?
Not particularly. Oh, you know what, Lawrence? You were doing so well, and now I hate you. That was typical.
You knew it was coming. You knew something weird was coming.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Dabby is the Boss was the original name of FP1 back in 2014 when I started that channel.
Oh,
that's what it was called. Where the name came from, again, I don't really remember, but it just kind of stuck for a few videos.
Is it like Dab?
Maybe. I really can't remember. I kept that hidden for a fair while, so thank you, Lawrence, for outing me on that. But there you go. What can you do?
I'm so sorry, Will. I feel really bad now. I just read it and was like, I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to include the question.
I'm texting him after this. I'm going to kill him.
I'm sorry, Lawrence, mate. I've caused your death on this podcast. Oh, that's amazing. What a brilliant way to end the podcast. That's hilarious. So, mate, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have Dabby is the Boss on the channel. Finally. I'm so sorry. I'll stop now. I'll stop. I promise. Mate, it was a pleasure to have you on. If anyone's watching this and isn't subscribed to FP1, which is the channel name. You should go into the description. I'll leave the link and go and subscribe. So thank you for being on, Will.
No worries. Absolute pleasure. Even if you have out with me at the end there. Thank you, Lawrence. You're an ass.
It wasn't me, it was Lawrence, I swear.
You read it out.
What? Don't shoot the messenger, mate.
No, absolute pleasure, mate. Absolutely love being on.
Thanks, buddy. Always great to talk to you. Always great to talk to you. So, yeah, if you're watching this and you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like on the video. I do really appreciate that. And obviously, you've gone and subscribed to Will's channel, but please subscribe to mine as well. I would really appreciate that too. But I've been Sir Meerkat. Thank you all so much for watching another episode of the ChatterBox podcast, and I'll see all of you Meerkats later. Goodbye, guys.
See you later.